Mississippi's trusted weather experts. This is Mississippi Live Weather at 5.
Welcome in to Mississippi Live Weather 5. I'm Chief Meteorologist Matt Loppon on this beautiful Tuesday. A little bit warmer today, a little bit warmer as we go toward tomorrow as we work our way through this work week here. Who am I kidding? It's Wednesday.
Wednesday, yeah.
Hey, I got it. It took me a second there. But I mean, we're just, loaded up on what are some nice days the next few days ahead. And it's just, I guess, easy to get lost in the swirl of it's some beautiful weather out there. Appreciate Gabe, of course, keeping me honest on that there. Of course, as we check out the temperatures today, this has really been the story since midnight. High temperatures up to 80 degrees in Tupelo, 83 Clarksdale, Cleveland. Warmest we have in this part of the state, Tunica, at 85 degrees. That's a big change from the last 24 hours, up 22 degrees. So obviously in stark contrast from where we were earlier this week with the big drop that we had. Most of us, at coolest 8 to 10 degrees above where we were yesterday at this time, back out for Hamilton, Alabama, out toward around Iuka. So that warming trend in a lot of ways is the story because the rain and showers that we had earlier today have cleared out. And maybe showers was overstating the case a little bit, but I think the temperatures continue to increase with clearer conditions tomorrow, and that'll bring us near record warmth for your Thursday. And then temperatures are going to be dropping into this upcoming weekend. Rain chances, we're waiting for some precipitation to drop. We have some limited chances that we'll track for you coming up here in a couple of minutes. But over the first 12 hours, still 81 degrees as of 6 p.m. We're 70 by 9. 65 as look toward midnight. Those southerly winds have worked to warm us up, and those will continue as we head into the overnight time period as well, heading down to around 60 by early morning Thursday. So you got the day right there. Hey, nothing but clear air returns here on Mama Justice Doppler radar at this time. No precipitation out there. I'd have to go a much, much longer loop on this. We turned on all of our various sweeps out there. The capture right there, right there. Those little blips that you had barely showing up, but that's all that we had out there. And really just dust and bugs, the main things being detected there on the radar sweeps as of this time. We'll look at some of the rainfall accumulations from today. Be prepared to be underwhelmed. This will be our 12-hour rainfall totals. And you don't see anything really showing up. Very, very minimal amounts out there, unfortunately. So that has been got the expectation, and certainly is the case as we remain largely dominated by dry conditions, not just here, but across the entire region. Come on. You look up to the north, we have to go up there into Illinois to have any sprinkles. Those are still about 200 miles away. And a meaningful front, meaning like cold front, something along those lines, you have to go all the way up there to practically Canada to check that out. Look at these temperatures on our temperature perspective here. And you can see there is a bit of a drop with this front up there, but the coldest of that heading more east and south. Look at the low. Look at the, in fact, the front. This is a loop here over the last few hours here. And that does show that the front itself, not really even progressing southward much at all. It's actually going to be what's farther behind that will be the front that really are the cooler temperatures that eventually kind of get settled in. But even most of that stays locked away, which is why the warm temperatures, not just here, but record-breaking warmth back out for locations on the plains because of this overall pattern. Again, we'll talk more about that here in a couple minutes. So in the Room Durham Weather Center, we've talked a lot the last few days about how dry we are, how warm, and those two things continue. We do have some southerly winds depicted here on Futurecast overnight, 10, 11 o'clock into this evening. Maybe a couple sprinkles down south, maybe a few up north. Notice we're happily in between, or maybe unhappily in between if moisture is what you are looking for there. As we go throughout 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning, you can see those southerly winds bringing in more in the way of low cloud cover coming in there for Nacogdoches, back toward around Alexandria, Louisiana, Hattiesburg, even Philadelphia. We're just far enough north that not much of that makes it up here into the northern part of the state. And even then, by that point in time, nearest rainfall with that front, still that front at that point in time, well to the northwest of us. We show that, from Nebraska to here, still about 600 miles away. Friday's the time period we'll start to see the drop in temperature with that. So tomorrow, still on the warmer end. We're going mid-80s out there. Not impossible. We could be underdoing the temperatures just a little bit, especially with as warm as we've gotten for today. We're 60 at 6 a.m. We're 66 by 9, 81 degrees by noontime. Notice the winds back to breezy. And again, with less moisture coming out of the Gulf of Mexico, this sets us up for an elevated fire danger once again for tomorrow. We've had some of those fires get out of control in the last week. Certified burn managers were okay. you and I just doing what we do, it's probably a little too breezy for that for tomorrow. Warm and breezy and dry enough. A recipe that allows fires to spread effectively, unfortunately. As we look at the forecast over the next couple of days, though, we do have some limited rain chances there. How close do we actually get to breaking record high temperatures for tomorrow? And believe it or not, we're going to break out the heat index for the first time this season. Not going to be impressive, but when you're mid 80s, practically 90, we need to see if we can actually feel as warm as that. We're looking at that coming up here in 60 seconds from the Room to Room Weather Center as Mississippi Live Weather continues right after this.
After a storm, the damage is not always obvious. And if it's not documented correctly, it can cost you. With a decade of experience, we know exactly what to look for. We handle the inspection, claim support, and the roof. Storm season is coming. Make sure you have absolute restoration on your side.
People tell me how lucky my daughter is to have been adopted. But really, we're the lucky ones. Learn more at adoptuskids.org.
We can see the lowering. We're going to have a good shot at that as it approaches the Rienzi area. Tornado warning now issued. We'll do a push alert behind the scenes for folks here up here in Alcorn County. Rotation on this thunderstorm increasing to the point back into Tippah County as well, where the National Weather Service has issued a tornado warning for your locations.
Right now, from the Room to Room Weather Center, here's Mississippi's Chief Meteorologist, Matt Lobhon.
Welcome back to Mississippi Live Weather at 5. I'm Chief Meteorologist Matt Lopon. Burn bans now extended into Tishomingo County as well as Alcorn County. These in effect for the next few weeks here because of the elevated fire danger. One of the things talking again to the Mississippi Forestry Commission, I'm going to try not to harp on this, but they mentioned that with the ice storm, and you know ice storm zone here where we obviously had power outages and all the issues, the extra trees down from that, meaning extra fuel and difficulty to get around and try to do some of the work to try to help things with any fires when issues happen there. So just be aware that the ice storm exasperating issues with the burn conditions. Of course, those two counties up here in North Mississippi, a couple down in Central Mississippi as well as far as burn bans are concerned. Just, outdoor burning obviously in this scenario discouraged significantly. The other thing the outdoors have for us, of course, the smoke. There's still some of that out there in the air from some of the burns that have been going on there. And then that tree pollen very high, two irritants that at least this time of year get moi, and possibly many of you as well. Weeds, grass, and mold, as far as the pollens are concerned with that, not as significant at this time. Out and about this evening, though, we have fairly clear skies in Caledonia with only some very small, puffy cumulus clouds, fair weather clouds, sometimes the way we describe those. Good evening to you in Lowndes County. You're 82 degrees at this time. Our winds out of the south and west at about 7 miles per hour. Become a lot more breezy for tomorrow, and those the grass there greening up a little bit more. Our Phoenix Building Solutions camera there in Oxford, provided by Mississippi Department of Transportation. We're 81 degrees. Winds a little breezier in Oxford at 13 miles per hour out of the south at this point in time. And at this instant coming in with mostly clear skies in Ackerman as well. Those winds out of the south. So all of those winds starting to bring that level of moisture up a little bit. Notice that dew point there coming in at 54 for that lower level moisture. So that has increased a little bit. And the sign that we'll start to hopefully yield maybe a couple of showers with this next front as it moves in. Not expecting many. And as you can see, the story for the weekend does go dry from 66 on Saturday for the high to 74 by Sunday. So certainly cooler than what we were today, what we will be with near record temperatures on the way for your Thursday. Here's the wide shot. And we discussed this a little bit. We're going to keep discussing the next few days. The overall pattern here, more often than not for most of us, is keeping us dry because of the position of the jet stream. Jet stream river, fast-moving air in the upper levels of the atmosphere, pretty much directed like this, right? All the way around this ridge of high pressure that we have kind of out toward the desert southwest. It's the reason you barely have clouds from all the way in the Pacific till you get I show a few in Texas, but really up here close to the Midwest. That tells us that this has carved out an area that is what? About 2,000 miles wide, where it's just sinking air, clear conditions. That's why they have that near record warmth for locations back in the desert southwest. And that's why for us, our rain chances have been limited, maybe not quite as limited as some of theirs have been. Let's bring it in close here. Let's look at Futurecast, which does not show much out there, but we do have those southerly winds trying to bring just a little bit more moisture up this evening, though no rain coming from that. We're at 10 o'clock. We're 11. We're to midnight for tonight. Southerly winds do continue. That's what the arrows indicate, but mostly clear skies. And in a lot of ways, a pretty nice overnight period with temperatures down to around the 60-degree point that begin early morning on Thursday. So we'll go 59 in Houston. Bruce, Eupora coming about 60. Louisville 60, 62 for Grenada. Greenwood there about 62 as well. So IMPC school bus forecast, we're 59 at pickup in the morning, 86 at drop off. I mean, this is mild enough that if they're just running from the house out to the bus and they're not really standing out there for a while, it's not super cool. But if they have to stand out for a little while, longer layer, not a bad idea. But by afternoon, certainly it is hot enough that 86, if they're standing out for any period of time, it's going to be a little bit toasty out there. And you've probably noticed that for today. We're going to be even warmer for tomorrow. Thursday, as you can see, we're keeping that cloud cover heading northward out of the Gulf of Mexico. No green showing up there, no precipitation. Our front's still well back to the north and west of us as of midday and into the afternoon. So we continue to have these southerly winds, and that getting a little bit more moisture, as you can see, from New Orleans back toward Baton Rouge there. But none of that rainfall really making it into the Magnolia State. So highs on your Thursday, we're going to around 85 degrees in Oxford, Water Valley, 87 Grenada, 86 Greenwood, and 85 Belzona and the Greenville area. Normal this time of year should be 69. So I don't get us quite to that, the record threshold. But I'll be honest, with where temperatures have gotten today, if we see even just a little bit more sunshine than we're expecting, 87, 88 degrees, not impossible. It'd be pushing it to get to 89, but I wouldn't be shocked to have some car or bank thermometers hit that 90-degree point. When we look at the heat index, notice it actually goes down a degree in some cases. Let's go back to the temperature, and then you look at the heat index. The reason that's the case is because this is still a dry heat. We don't have a lot of moisture around, right? That's why we're not yielding any rain chances, really. And so that's what helps us to have, again, the lesser amount of humidity there and build those temperatures. So from 82 today, we go 86 tomorrow, 81 by Friday, and that's behind that next front Friday, and then a big drop in temperatures by the weekend. Saturday is the odd day out over the next 7 with temperatures mid-60s. As we show you, though, the normal high for today is 69. I think that goes up to 70 for tomorrow. So we're definitely going to be running well above normal most of the entire extended forecast. And Saturday is really the only day it's a little cooler because of that next front. Let's talk about how that plays out. So as we head through your Thursday evening, Thursday night, still again, partly cloudy skies down south, mostly clear skies for us. That blue line represents our next front and that colder air coming in from the north. Still north of us, though, as we head into early Friday morning there. Even though we have these southerly winds kind of rolling northward into our area, more southwesterly by, say, 4, 5, 6 o'clock in the morning, early Friday morning, this setup here, not one that's going to have a lot of rain chances on Friday. And I can tell you that right now, no severe weather or anything like that, because we don't even have that deck of cloud cover. We often have that marine layer coming out of the Gulf of Mexico preceding a front. That's one of those many signs that there's not going to be a lot of moisture to work off of with this. So lows early Friday, 61, we show Tunica, Senatobia, Water Valley at about 60, 59 Bruce, 60 degrees in Houston, 61 Amory, and everybody way above the 46 we typically would expect. So here comes that front. This is the one interesting day really in about the next 6 or 7 days, Friday, as this front moves in from the north and west. You can see that front kind of getting about halfway through the area by around noontime. A few sprinkles behind that there for Boonville, a few more back up toward Wynne, Arkansas, and Stuttgart and Little Rock. Now we're about to change this over to our strike model. Watch this change as we do, where it depicts, again, most of those showers fairly close to the front, but then really, really light stuff behind that. So we're talking severe weather? No. We'll look at Storm Finder related to this coming up at 6 o'clock, but this is not a scenario where we would expect some strong to severe thunderstorms. In fact, as you can see, I don't know if we even get up to rumbles. That's how paltry the amounts of moisture that we're working off with this system are. They're just very, very limited there, even into your Friday evening. Only a few lighter sprinkles, so not a lot there. So highs, we'll go 84 still Kosciuszko, 85 degrees Macon in Aliceville versus only 78 in Holly Springs, 79 Senatobia, 78 in Olive Branch, and South Haven. So big contrast in temperatures because of that front and the cooler air associated with it that obviously has the huge drop as we head into this upcoming weekend. So big difference there north to south on those temperatures on your Friday. As we head into Friday evening, we do have this kind of residual secondary little batch of showers. This was depicted by our strike model last night as well. Let's go a little wider on this here as we head into Friday evening. Again, our Mississippi Live game of the week, I believe, up in Baldwin. And I think that's a new site in Baldwin for that game there. We're hopeful that showers south, showers north, not showers over top of us at that point in time. We'll also look at that SEC baseball forecast coming up at 6 o'clock. As you can see how most of those showers kind of evaporate as they move into our area. And it's just the colder air behind this that settles in that becomes the big story as we head into this upcoming weekend. So looking into your Saturday, as we go through Saturday, north and northeast winds. That's not exactly a direction that's going to bring us any kind of warmth. High pressure, and this one, obviously, if we backtracked it all the way from up there in Canada. Listen, because we're now basically April by the time we get to Saturday, that means that, we don't have as much cold air if this were, say, February or December to tap into. So this is about as cold as Canada's going to give us, with some low temperatures again back into the 40s and obviously low 60s there for Saturday's highs. As that slides away, we're under those clear skies, not necessarily calm winds. It'll still be a fairly breezy day. So highs on Saturday, we go about 66 in Water Valley, 67 degrees Bruce. We're about 70 in Eupora, Starkville, Columbus, all about 71 degrees. And this is pretty close to what we typically would expect. That just shows you how extreme we're going to be in the next couple of days with those middle to upper 80s versus the low 70s. So big difference there as we're running way above normal on those temperatures. 7-day forecast, around 20% on those rain chances there for Friday. As you saw a moment ago, yeah, that's not impressive, but that's one of our best chances. We're looking at rainfall accumulations for Friday coming up during our 6 o'clock broadcast, as well as those different sports forecasts that we do have there. We're 66 by Saturday, obviously huge drop in temperatures. Now, here's one of the questions. Looking at those lows, is it conceivable we could have some upper 30s? We'll go city by city on those low temperatures as well, coming up at 6 o'clock there. We're 74 by Sunday, 80 degrees as we look toward Monday, 81 by Tuesday of next week, and then probably mid-80s by the middle portion of the week. If we're talking rain and storm chances, it's probably the end of next week and probably, honestly, more close to Easter Sunday before we start to have more that could be strong to severe. We think we have a pretty potent system that's going to break off and head toward us somewhere in that half a week to week into the month of April. And so that places us at least with a chance for maybe some stronger thunderstorms then. But between then and now, that's not what we're contending with Friday. Really, the next few days, we continue to have conditions that are relatively dry. And we appreciate everybody for joining us again in our chat over there. Hello to everyone this evening in Corinth and all across the area that have kind of dropped a line in our Facebook, YouTube chats as well. And again, Markellis, appreciate you for commenting there multiple times. We'll see you coming up at 6 o'clock, and Arnita there for watching us as well. That is when our next live broadcast will be, is coming up at 6 p.m. here in the Room to Room Weather Center. At that point, we're going to look at some rainfall totals and what we're looking at over the next few days. Now, listen, as I talk about some of these things, we're not expecting these to be impressive, but I know that it matters to some of the gardeners out there. So we'll look at rain totals. We'll look at temperatures as well for lows on Saturday. And we're kind of looking at that long-range pattern as well. And seeing about the timing of that next kind of big storm system in there. It's still a ways out, but starting to get some of our models agreeing a little bit more on some of the elements with that. They've kind of fought back and forth the last couple of days. We talked to our meteorologist, Gabe Maynor, about that coming up at 6 o'clock as well. And, of course, all the SEC and Game of the Week forecasts for you then. So keep it here for the latest. We thank you all for liking, subscribing, and following us here on Mississippi Live Weather.
Growing up, Gabe was naturally curious when he began to discover weather. Gabe just didn't want to know what was happening, but he wanted to know why it was happening. Gabe became fascinated with tornadoes and it impacted his life. He wanted to pursue a career in meteorology. Even though Gabe grew up in Alabama, Mississippi has now become his home and his family. And one thing about Gabe is he keeps his family safe.
Game day brings its ups and downs, celebration and disappointment, anxiety and relief, friend